Hi, my name is Meershroom, and this will be a video about how I designed and drew these little graphic bonsai rose bushes, which I used to make arrangements of pixel art on the flightrising.com website. So before I started, I had a whole bunch of drawings of the rose blooms themselves, maybe 15 or so, and I just sort of arranged them in a way that I thought would look nice, and drew tiny thumbnail sketches, followed up with like the sort of softer sketches you see behind the current drawing. So this first phase that I'm doing is just taking that really sketchy drawing and making some nice clean lines that'll hopefully show up well when I downsize the image to be pixel art. There really isn't any clear reference for this. Rose bushes don't really grow this way naturally, so I took a little bit of artistic license on how I constructed the whole image. A key thing that I think is to make a strong silhouette here, which you're not going to see in nature, but for graphic art it works out fairly nicely. So I figured I'd start with two shapes. There's the upright, which I just finished there, and this one I'm calling the cascade. So I suppose the upright one you could sort of see like a tiny mini rose bush that you buy, but the cascade is more like based on those roses that fall over fences in giant sweeps, and people don't really do that with tiny rose bushes, so I kind of had to make things up a little bit more as I went along. Hopefully it turned out fairly nice and readable in the final form there. And in the final image, you won't really see the rose buds very often. Maybe sometimes. The whole goal is to pick up the rose blooms and sort of move them around as needed, or to make like totally unique pixel creations. But in some cases you might only want a couple of rose blooms, and then those little rose buds kind of fill in the gaps for that case. So I'm almost done with this phase, I think. Hopefully it'll, there it goes, it zooms out, and yeah, so looking fairly clean and stylish in the silhouettes. And so the next phase that I move on to is drawing all the tiny leaves. So I'm not entirely clear on whether rose bushes have groups of 3 leaves or 5 leaves together in a set like that. So I kind of went with both as I had space for. So I keep them totally separate on the edges as often as possible, again for a really nice silhouette, since for this pixel art I try to keep things as uncluttered as possible and viewable from a distance as it is. So they're all drawn out in like a lighter color than the rose bush, just sort of for convenience at the moment, so that I can separate the two. They're on different layers, of course. Much easier for coloring that way. Just drawing, transforming, and I don't think I do it much on this upright bonsai, but on the other one, halfway through drawing the leaves, I realized that the branches weren't in the greatest sort of configuration, so I adjusted that. It's like, trial and error a little bit. And keeps going. Also, we might see along the side there I have a couple of other folders labeled, or at least 2 or 3 other rose bushes that I considered using, and I decided they were too large for the moment, too large to fit in the space that I have, so I might revisit them someday, but for now we've just got these 2 little rose bushes. They each have like 4 to 5 blossoms on them. And they also stack on top of each other if I wanted to make a larger rose bush that combines the two. So that's very nice. Pretty much the goal is to be super versatile. And yeah, it's not really much point drawing all those leaves again. I think the message was clear the first time. So basically, I'm quickly going to go over my lovely stems and branches that I drew and give them a little bit of depth. Not super detailed, since this only shrunk down to like a third of the current size, maybe more. I can't remember right now. Yeah. Rosebuds are kind of iffy to draw in grayscale like this. I might have approximated a little bit. They're not the most super important parts. I just do them for completeness. Draw them. Yeah, so this is the part where I changed the branch in the middle a little bit so that it folds over rather than just sort of stopping. It fills it out nicer than it was before, trust me. And, showing again. Yeah, so that's both of my rose bushes all laid out, and I get to the fun part now, which is color. So up in the top there are 3 icons from the Flight Rising website that I'm sort of basing these items off of. And I use those color picking and color choices. I think I decided to go with 3 different colors of leaves, and then I can mix and match as I need to do it to match like the other things that are going to be in the same little bonsai pixel arrangement. So like with the stems, just a little bit of shading on those leaves to give them a little bit of dimension. It's not really going to be seen when it's shrunk down totally, but yeah, some color variation. Starting with this really bright green. I think this is the brightest one, and then after that I chose 2 other shades of green, which were just trying to make them all distinct, but not like realistic-ish colors. Yep. And because I'm lazy, I made all the rosebuds pinkish, even though some of those roses that I use are blue and white. It's fine. They're very rarely going to be seen. Oh yeah, and then there are the little thorns that I drew. Not very sharp because there'll be little dots when it's shrunk down. And yeah, nice red so that they pop, or pink I guess I switch it to. Yep. Oh yeah, this was the point where I realized my leaves weren't popping as much as I wanted. I did a couple like intermediate to resizings to look at the actual pixel size. Didn't bother showing those in this video, but I decided to have my dark outline in the middle of the leaf and then have a lighter outline at the outside so that they'll show up properly on a wider range of backgrounds without being too strong. Basically, my goal for this pixel art is, in general, like the plant life shouldn't stand out too much. It shouldn't have hard edges on it. Any creatures that I add, like little birds and snakes and things, those have hard edges to distinguish them, but the plants all sort of are supposed to blend together a little bit. And, yep. So I think I'm cycling through my 3 different colors now. Yep, so here's sort of a very dark green, and then a pale green, and then a sort of faded brownish color that's for deader leaves. Yep, so here's an overview. I have a couple of little planters showing up in the corner that I've done already. And, yeah, so thank you if you watched this far. Goodbye.